Hello and welcome to another episode of Hong Kong House of Cards. This is Mage Edition, more specifically Hollow One Edition. Tonight we find our lovely cabal of Hollow Ones in their little sanctum / library that has just been firebombed by some asshole. Who the fuck firebombs a club? Where Greg Jigger is presumably just really fucking pissed off about all of these events. So I'll let them intro what they're doing.
I don't ask for many things in my life. I ask that gin be kept close to tonic. I ask that all people's clothing of both genders, or screw it, we live in the PC generation, all perceivable genders are skimpy and tight-fitting. And I ask that my club not be firebombed by some random schmuck. One of my life's desires has so far been fucked up. How are you, gentlemen?
I keep telling you, you see the relatively fat and unkempt type row manipulating a group of steel balls in the air. I keep telling you, let me put a good forces ward on the building.
I thought we do.
Yeah, that would look so great, wouldn't it? Throws a Molotov cocktail, all of a sudden, there's no
Depends
fire.
on how it's done.
Ugh.
I just make it so the building looks like it's fire retardant.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't get. It's not the building that's the problem. They didn't actually burn down the fucking building. It's the patrons that's the problem, my dear Pyro.
How so?
Well, they were the ones who got covered in fire.
I really should get up from out this sanctum occasionally.
Yes, yes, you should.
Incidentally, you will notice that all around the room are crates that have been set up as small tables with dozens of weird little experiments on them.
Honestly,
Are we in the VIP room? Are we in
at some point,
Sanctum?
at some point, the ghost is going to get pissed at you for constantly muddling up her shit.
Yeah, I mean,
As long as I leave the books alone. And he turns to what looks to be a crate with several small several small cylinders of wood of different heights, with bowls resting on top each one, and he's trying to make them rise the same height with his back turned. I shall now make an appropriate roll. Just give me a moment. I believe this would be difficulty 6.
On the eternal bright side, the PLA managed to catch the motherfucker before he got too far, so at least he'll face the long arm of the law. I don't know.
it's funny because his organs are probably going to be sold on the black market.
I succeed, so you actually see the bowls rise up off the counter and start just moving around each other.
Okay.
You shouldn't entirely be surprised that he got caught. I don't think the technocracy will want their agents being pointed out.
It's not. He's not a technocrat.
He won't be a technocrat as such, but he'll be one of their agents.
Are you kidding me? Do you honestly think that they're so stupid that they would firebomb a club? That's just not wrong.
No, yeah, the technocracy would either nuke us from space or rezone our building.
He's
They're
not
boring like that.
Yeah. And who the hell have you pissed off sufficiently they'd actually firebomb us? Even the fairies wouldn't risk that sort of thing.
I don't know. When I got the phone call, all I remember, I was told he looked particularly dead-eyed, as if, he had... Anyway, I don't care. I'm going to let
be a vampire.
Possibly.
The fucking...
Wait a sec. Aren't they like... Don't they like... I thought they didn't like fire.
No, but they could have mind-controlled somebody. We're assuming this person is not actually one of the things that did it, which is smart, because it was probably just a disposable human.
True.
And so I don't know if the changes can do that, but I know vampires can do that.
Pyro, can they do that?
Huh?
Like, can changelings fuck around with the mind?
Fucked if I know.
Yeah, I don't know shit
You're
about
the guy
them.
who deals with them.
The phrase "deal with them" is rather loose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the definitions in this place. For example, successful business.
It's funny because it's true.
Hey, our business is successful.
To be honest with you, I don't actually think the firebombing is going to do really adverse things. People come here because they like the weird shit that goes on. Though fire, maybe not so much. I may have to do some actual damage control on that.
Well,
I
mean,
do have a suggestion.
Uh,
A fire
this is
show
when you,
on the stage.
yeah, I would say that, and then make a big announcement of how we will not be intimidated by terrorists, in this day and age, and a fire show proves that it didn't affect us, and like for one night or something, free drinks.
Yeah,
drinks.
maybe open it with the words. You may have heard recently that this club was attacked with a firebomb. Those who want to close us down think fire scares us. Allow us to prove just how wrong they really are. Lights go dead, fire show starts.
Yeah.
You also have Pyro, you have a new mission. You ever seen the episode of The Simpsons where he creates the flaming Mo?
Yes.
Oh, a drink that does that?
Yeah. I want you to concoct something.
Well, there's quite a few drinks that do that. Like,
yeah, that's exactly. There's one type where you can actually make it so you inhale the vapors. Apparently, it gets you really drunk.
I need
a question.
Perception from everyone.
A perception what, sorry?
Perception alertness.
Oh.
Is this based on sight or hearing or what?
It is based on sight.
Yay, my specialty applied.
Hashtag.
The viewers, the horror begins.
5d10. What's the diff?
That's standard. So 6.
What? 6. Booyakasha. I got what's that?
Ooh, I actually got 2 successes. Yay!
I got 4.
Yeah, so it's
I got a 10.
2 4s, myself and Spider, and 1 2.
Okay. You all notice a fairly tall, gaunt man. He's white, his hair shoulder length, and he's wearing a suit that looks like it'd be appropriate in the early 1900s, just kind of sitting in your sanctum, just kind of watching.
Tiger?
Yeah.
We definitely didn't see him enter, right?
Correct.
So yeah,
okay.
my guns are cocked in
Instant
this direction.
fireball.
No.
I'm aiming a fire blast, and since I have Prime, I'm actually going to attempt to turn it into aggravate, like enhance it with Prime, to blast this fucker right in the chest.
Why?
Because gaunt person suddenly appearing in sanctum,
this is
which
why
is supposed to be warded, does not happen.
Okay.
Hold on.
You can do what you want to do, but I want to point out there's a reason I cocked my guns, and you're going. You shouldn't go the full way. Like I want to suggest that.
In theory, Anthony, he's not wrong. It's up to you what you do.
Okay. I have a better idea.
I'm just gonna throw this. I'm just gonna throw this out here before anyone says anything else. You guys can roll intelligence plus Hollow One lore if you have it.
Ooh.
Okay, intelligence, occult or lore? Did you say?
No, Hollow One lore.
All right.
That's 3 dice for me.
What's the diff?
We'll call it 7.
Ooh, that's another 2.
I'm going to spend a willpower because I think it's important. Ooh,
So,
wow.
Tiger, do I know who he is with 2 successes?
Yeah, 2 successes also.
I have, with the willpower, I have 5 successes. Holy shit! I can tell you what he had for breakfast.
This person matches the description of a one Neville Sinclair Nevermore, aka the father of the Hollow Ones.
Thank you for we. Okay, so are you going to still firebomb him?
Since it will have taken a moment to recognize him, you will see Pyro's fingers light up with flame. Then a moment of recognition. Flames go out, hands fall.
Yeah, and same thing as a point of recognition. I decock my pistols and holster them. I say, you holy man, the freaking he crosses himself. You can't scare people like that.
Sorry, I like to make an image. Make a
That's
good first impression.
nothing wrong with that.
So wait, hang on. Explain this to me, Tiger. He's the founder of the Hollow Ones.
Yes.
Oh shit. Okay. It's not for every day.
Yeah.
Someone who founded a tradition.
Yeah, we the Hollow Ones have been around for like 150 to 200 years, and this is the guy who made us.
Mhm.
Son of a bitch.
At which point, Gravedigger takes a. He's trying to think what's the best way to kind of greet this person, and he does the most angsty thing he can think of, which is he takes a cigarette from his from its packet, lights it, and then he extends his hand with the pack of cigarettes to this chap and says, "Smoke."
I'll take this cigarette, light it, and start smoking on it. Thank you.
No problem. We don't. I'm kind of facing a conundrum here because the Hollow, out of character, of course, the Hollow Ones don't really, do the whole like sir or master thing. But he's like, I feel like, what do we call you? Is it boss? Is it sir? What's the correct vernacular here?
El Deuterino.
Neville will be fine.
There we go. See, if this was the Order of Hermes, he would have asked us to bow, scrape, and kiss his boots. I like Neville.
I can vouch for that.
What brings you to Hong Kong, sir?
I had heard there were some issues going around with you guys, and I wanted to see if I could help.
Well, unfortunately, those issues tend to revolve around my dear friend here pissing off some fair folk.
I apologize for nothing.
That's half the problem.
Shush. Of course, you're no doubt aware, though you probably can. You know that entering the city means it's incredibly difficult to leave it, right?
Yes, and from what I've heard, there have been plans to fix that problem.
You're not wrong.
Hang on, what do you mean incredibly difficult? I thought it was impossible.
Certain masters have been shown to be able to do stuff that means it can be left, but it takes an awful lot out of them.
Typical masters. Always knowing the wussiest.
Kind of their job?
The job is to know how to do magic better, not necessarily to know all the wussiest little secrets. Why aren't they telling us? Or helping us get out?
Words that make sentences. Anyway.
I think right now, anywhere that isn't technocratic surrounded would be lovely.
But no, to answer your question, yeah, we are relatively close to hopefully being able to strike a blow to free us from this godforsaken technocratic hell. It's just going to require a little more time.
Wait, point of fact, are you trapped in the city now too?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for adding to the cause. That just occurred to me. I should ask that question.
Seems a reasonable question to ask. But as I've said, if there's any help you can lend us, then absolutely. But we wouldn't presume to ask.
I try to help those of like-minded individuals such as myself.
Okay. Well, in that case, so to explain to you where we are, he'll gesture over at the small robot that's sitting on his desk, and he'll say, the current plan is there are 3 technocratic strongholds. He's basically going to explain the Gideon plan, because Evan doesn't want to explain it all over again.
Okay. Interesting. And who is going to be returning him to sanity?
That would be what's a Bao's actual full name?
Bao Yating Jiang.
Master Bao Yating Jiang, one of the Akashics over, one of the Master Akashics over at their temple. Well, that's
It's kind of like watching him listen to you guys mostly.
well, that's the plan anyway. We still have to see how bad off poor old Gideon is when we yank him out of the internet.
Do you have a plan B if his mind is beyond repair?
In theory, yes. One of the daughters of Ether. Is that term gender changeable, or is it always a son of Ether, or is it a daughter?
I think these days they prefer Society of Ether.
Thank you. One of the Society of Ether has somehow created a scanner that they believe can home in on prime energy, and obviously it's prime energy in huge quantities that's powering the shield. If we can't get Gideon back, she might be able to pinpoint where it is that the prime energy is being routed to the shield from. As we understand, there are 2 bases that are remaining. However, the problem with that plan is that as soon as the technocracy feels something start to scan, I have no doubt that they're going to come down on it like a ton of bricks. So I'd much rather the more subtle plan first before we actually have to fight men in mech suit. Thank you very much.
And we're still fighting men in mech suits out in the open with Paradox jumping up and down on our synapses. Because I get enough headaches as it is just trying to keep candles lit in this place.
A good Hollow One keeps their effects coincidental.
The 2 problems with that, Neville, sir. I was trained originally as a hermetic, and they didn't exactly teach subtlety. The other problem, of course, being in a place like this, sooner or later, Paradox is going to get grumpy. Because he keeps insisting on candles, and he points directly at Gravedigger.
I feel it adds to the ambiance.
Yes, it also either adds to the match bill or gives me a headache.
You need to learn subtlety, young grasshopper.
This is true.
Don't make me hurt you.
Mhm.
Not quite sure how I would hurt you, but I'd figure out a way. Probably, I don't know.
I mean, we're
literal
friends,
grasshoppers
man.
in your soup.
I can understand that we're friends, but if you actually try to hurt him, he did pay me to protect his life. Just want to go
I
on
didn't say
record.
kill him.
Let's.
We give him undercooked pork or something.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe let's not squabble in front of the creator of our entire paradigm and way of life, perhaps. Thank you.
Yeah.
We can do either way. I mean, you know, isn't that the whole point of this?
Just takes another long drag off his cigarette.
But I'm more than happy if you have any advice as to our current situation or the plans thereof to give it.
There are other supernaturals in the city, correct?
Lots. More than I've lost count.
No, stopped counting altogether.
So, which ones exactly?
Well, we've got. That's a good question.
You can generalize it if needed.
We've got 2 types of vampires, one eastern, one western. The same with changelings, though I think that the Hessian prefer to be called little gods, but then again, that's their logical power fantasy.
Yeah, don't the vampires here have a weird name too?
Yeah.
I did mention it a couple of times. Can't remember what the heck it is. Not
Fuck if I know.
vampires. It sounds a bit like ECN. It's some. Yeah.
I just know that there are Eastern vampires and Western vampires, though I've only met one Eastern one. And it's kind of freaky because he's a Catholic priest, which kind of freaks the shit out of me.
Wait a sec.
Um,
I thought faith hurt these things.
if I know.
More shit to research, apparently. And you're
Then
seeing rubber
there are were creatures, not just wolves, but like shit. Am I missing anything?
let's see. The vampires, changelings, the were things, the other traditions.
Oh, and the dead.
Wraith fuckery. Yeah, wraith.
I was going to say, and the dead, of course, but the dead are everywhere.
Yeah, but you keep poking them in the side of the metaphorical head.
I really don't.
You're the guy who has a reputation for it.
Well,
And besides, the librarian.
that's fair. Though she's here of her own. Though I can never remember what gender my librarian is. I think because it changes. They are here of their own free will.
I think it's a she.
I think it's a she. They are here of their own free will.
I wonder if they'd actually be able to say no to you.
Anyway, that answers your question, I hope. Those are the supernatural peoples that are currently present in Hong Kong.
It might be worth going to some of the other supernaturals and seeing if they can find anything like this. Any weak spots in the wall or what have you.
Yeah. Out of phrase. I think the problem is that basically, if you think about it, from what I'm led to understand, you know, from various different conversations, it's the technocracy as an entity is kind of out of their pay grade. Would it be pay grade?
Power level, I'd say.
He's going to hold up, or he's going to hold up a hand and stop you right there. Do not discount them. It's arrogance like that that separates us from, say, the Order of Hermes.
Fair. I'll accept that logic. I think that we factored them in. Yeah, if you understand me. Gravedigger walks behind his desk and he'll pull out a piece of paper and open it onto his desk. And he'll basically start listing down the names of individuals who he's met who, you know, have shown, like, particularly in the combat missions he's been to, who, you know, have shown themselves to be great combatants and physical adepts and whatever else have you. And he'll say, don't get me wrong, we haven't discounted them. We merely believe that we as Magi are the only ones who can find the technocratic facility, because it's difficult for the others to perceive what it is the technocrats are doing. Once we've identified the facility, it's definitely not going to be us who's going to be carrying the fight to them. It will be individuals like these, and he'll start listing off names. Names that include people like Bosco, Felicia, lots of shifter names.
Yeah.
Yes,
Almost
the bigger the shifter, the better.
I will point out on an out of character note, I don't know Bosco's gone, or that he's not coming back. I miss Bosco.
Yeah, that's fair. That's completely fair. Have you asked them to see if they've done any work on finding any of this?
He'll lean back in his chair and he'll say, honestly, whenever I broach the subject, they seem to be quite happy for us to find where it is. So I think it's more complacency than anything else.
Have you asked recently?
I beg your pardon?
Have you asked recently?
No. I can ask again.
It might not be a bad idea. If one of them has already found it, which who knows, they might have, it would more than likely be a good idea to not go through a bunch of wasted effort.
I can see wisdom in that.
Of course, if they haven't, then you have plans B and C.
Though I do have information, well, bear in mind I'm an information broker, which makes it so that I think I know what will happen when this wall goes down. Something that virtually no one else knows. So, I'm actually telling you, Sue, for this the first time. Please, Pyro, Spider, keep your mouth shut about this. Okay.
How frequently do we go around?
Fair. Okay, so Director Smith, the Archmage level enforcer of the technocracy and the head of their operations in Hong Kong. Well, during the 90s, Mr. Smith decided that he would rather be a free agent than a pawn of the technocrats. So he kind of rebelled, if you understand me. He sought a freedom that the technocracy would not allow him to have, etc., etc., etc. However, that only lasted a few years before he was quite literally dragged kicking and screaming back into the initiative. I've no doubt that they've mentally modified him and placed him back on, well, frankly, the job that he's currently doing, which for an individual of his power level is actually a huge demotion. He's doing this job, apparently, from what my source told me, as a methodology of regaining his former position within the technocracy. So it is my belief that should the wall go down, the technocrats will see this as a personal failure on his behalf and will more than likely go to immediately punish him, because obviously he's failed in his task for redemption. So I believe that in the event the wall comes crashing down, they either won't immediately be able to rebuild it, or they will view it as a failed initiative of a failed master mage, who will probably himself be recalled back to headquarters in a very unpleasant manner.
There is, of
Assuming he
course, isn't there always a possibility of them, like, I don't know, shunting the city somewhere else or something?
Possible, but that would really fuck with the tapestry.
They think, hey, like, surely building a massive wall that fucks with magic must do something icky to the tapestry anyway.
Not really, because people can't perceive it. Your ordinary Joe Schmo flies in and out of Hong Kong, drives in and out of the city. It literally affects less than 0.1% of the population, and it's a 0.1% of the population that don't actually create the consensus because they are, in fact, victims of the consensus. But shunting the entire city or destroying it would mean having to rewrite history.
Spider, you're a time guy, right?
I dabble.
All right. Is it possible to, like, create two paths of time?
Are you saying you want to have time coexist, two different timelines coexisting in the same location?
Well, I don't want to. I'm thinking,
Is this
if
what
that's
you're?
possible.
That's what you're asking. I'm not saying you want it to, but that's what you're trying. I wouldn't suggest it.
Well,
That's
I'm
just-
thinking in terms of that might be a way for the technos to deal with that problem.
No, I mean, like, it's not good for something to do that. That's like I don't think it can be done, just in my own experience, but if I may, two things sharing the same space is never good. Also, I gotta be right back.
So, as I said, I anticipate that in the event of the wall's failure, they will view Mr. Smith as a failure and will drag him back for either more re-education or dismissal, or in the case of the technocracy, dismemberment.
Makes sense.
They don't like failures in the technocracy, do they? No, they really don't. But that is, of course, under the assumption that all works out as planned. So, That is why, when we ascertain which one of the two technocratic facilities, it's either in Vietnam or in South Korea, from what my sources have been able to tell me. When we find out which one it is, we hit it hard, we hit it fast, we disrupt the flow of energy. The shield comes crashing down. After all, have you ever stopped to think how much energy it takes to power that shield?
I imagine it'd be quite a lot.
Yes. It's taking them 3 facilities on 3 of the most powerful node sites in creation, one on the Marianas Trench and the other 2 basically on the main ley lines throughout the entirety of Asia, to power the shield. So I can only imagine that it will end interestingly when the power is disrupted, even momentarily. I don't think that it will have much of a fail-safe, let's phrase it like that.
I'm still ever so slightly confused as to how the hell we're going to get people out of the barrier.
I beg your pardon?
How are we going to get people out again?
Basically, from what I'm led to understand, the way Dissolve does it is he basically demolecularizes you and spreads you so thin that basically you pass through the minutia that is the cracks in the wall or something like that on the atomic level. I honestly don't get it. He did it to me once when I had to go down to deep water. But yeah, that's basically how he does it. And then he recorporealizes you the other side. But as I said, it's not easy even for him. And he's, you know, I am the great and powerful Order of Hermes. Ooh. Sorry.
Is he just a master or is he an archmage?
He's an archmage.
Specializing in what, do you know?
Fucked if I know. He's House Flambeau, whatever that means.
Oh, God.
I'm back.
He's a Forces archmage, I can virtually guarantee it.
Yeah.
Fucking House Flambeau. They're the combat guys of the order. Remember how I said that when I was Meditius, we were the craftsmen?
Yeah.
Yeah, house. Let me put it this way. My house, we built things. House Flambeau, burned them down.
Oh, here am I.
Yeah. Never got to complete my training properly, but I was always warned against pissing off someone from House Flambeau. Hence the result in your workshop burning down. They're worse than the Mafia, I'm telling you.
Charming. Gravedigger takes another cigarette from his case and lights it.
Oh yes, that reminds me. And Pyro reaches down and pulls out quite a good bottle of wine and pulls out 4 glasses.
Excellent.
Get for a drink, Neville?
If you wouldn't mind, thank you.
But yes, unfortunately, the city's somewhat broken. The other unfortunate is the fact that I think people have started to come to the realization that after the wall goes down, who are friends once again become enemies, if that makes sense. So
They've started to realize we're all allies of convenience. And it won't be convenient for very long. Which will mean we'll all go back to war and it'll be the end of peace in Hong Kong.
It was like, how best to describe it? So this master, Desau, he's like one of the primo archmagi I left for the Order of Hermes. He broke a covenant deal he struck with a group of vampires the other day. He swore to return to them a book of some occult nonsense. Something to do with the outer dark or black deities or something like that. I can't even remember its name.
Sounds
But,
like Cthulhu's baby brother.
Yeah, that one. He promised that he'd return the book to the leeches if he and his apprentice couldn't destroy it. Turns out that they could destroy it, however, it would mean sacrificing myself and another person by the name of Miss Tony Zhang. I was willing to, ironically, give up my life so that this blasphemous tome could be blasted back from whence it came. However, Tasal made the decision that he wasn't willing to risk life. Okay, I can honestly respect that. However, then he broke his deal with the vampires. He chose not to give them the book back, but instead basically sent it beyond their reach. Now, I can completely respect his mindset there. However, he did really openly break his agreement.
Hang on. Is it beyond his reach?
No, he could probably get it back. It is beyond
In
there.
that case, what if we do? If we could do to Tony what's his name did to you?
The problem there is that she refuses the treatment.
Then strap the stupid bitch to a table and do it without her consent. You're doing a medical treatment.
That does
You're fixing her.
You are, but that does kind of seem to fly, at least in my opinion, of our sort of, anarcho-punk movement here, isn't it?
Yeah, but the fact that it comes down to we ultimately we've always, I don't know about the rest of you, but we have always seen it. We've been willing to fly in the face of rules that others have when we know it's for the greater good. Tony's life is in danger. The book can't be returned and destroyed properly until her life is safe. We make her undergo the treatment. Her life is saved.
There is one problem with your assertion.
Go on.
The only magi in the city with the correct ability to do so is a Verbena who has sworn that he will do no harm. And he will not purposefully inflict a treatment upon someone that they do not want even to save their life.
Okay, then we kill her.
No.
If she's gonna no, this is my point, Spider.
I get your point.
She's going to die. If she doesn't sooner or later, it's gonna happen eventually with this thing in her head, right?
Not necessarily.
No,
you're making an assumption here.
It's a likely assumption.
It's a likely assumption.
Refusing treatment.
But they're not. The only thing that'll kill her is destroying that book.
So far, Spider's correct. Yeah. The only thing that we know that will end her life is destruction of the book.
Well, I mean, obviously being shot, stabbed, so on and so forth, etc., etc.
All right, let me put it this way. You guys have read, Lovecraft, right?
Yes, I understand the concept.
Yeah. She has a thing in her head that's basically stopping you burning the Necronomicon. Does that not ring cosmic alarm bells here?
Okay, but that doesn't mean we go murdering people. You understand that would cause
but I'm making the point. Evil space worm in her brain.
Look, we understand the point you're making, but you're also making the point of let's start a war between mages in this city. That would do only that.
I'm making a point that we should at least try and fix this before it all goes to hell and she gets killed anyway.
If she gets killed anyway, that's fine. It's not on us. But we don't. Again, do you forget that that's the point kind of our whole thing, our whole cadre here, is that we're not we're not the ones adhering to the strict old rules. We had to do it in the name. How many times
we're not doing it in the name of any of the orders. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do in the end.
It's not. You're proclaiming it.
Gravedigger kind of taps his fingers for kind of a silence, and he says, "I've got a funny notion for you, Pyro. In the end, she dies.
Yeah.
If the thing, no, let me finish. If the thing eats her brain, she dies. Okay. That is of absolutely no loss to us. If the Order of Hermes breaks their covenants with vampires, who, don't like them already. Have you forgotten the lovely Masase Wars?
No, I haven't forgotten the old war.
Very good.
Yeah.
Then
I
that is
spent
nothing.
hours a day being supposed to study its history.
Then that is nothing to do with us. If they destroy the presence of the Order of Hermes in Hong Kong, when the wall goes down and this Accord business is said and done, that is no concern of ours.
You
In the end-
actually see him. You see him like his face twitch in certain places when you say that.
We
Like, you know,
we are hollow ones. Frankly, I would love to see the ivory tower that is the Order of Hermes fall, or at least get covered in a bit of dirt. So, this is nothing to do with us. I got the brain leech burned out of me, which means regardless what the next step of the Order of Hermes is, it benefits us.
I guess you have a point. It's just there are certain ways of thinking that get ingrained in you in the order, even after you leave. It's like you know full well, I can't break the oath I swore. I'm not even a member, and I can't anymore, and I can't break that oath. There are things that you get programmed to do and think. It's hard to break out of that.
However, Gravedigger turns to look at the what was the name of the founder of the Hollow Ones again? I've already forgotten now.
Neville something.
Neville. He will turn and look at Neville and he will say, "We've, however, told you enough of our problems. Is there anything that we can do for you?"
Your hospitality is. I will attempt to. There are some other disparates in the city, correct?
Yes. Would you like then? I can give you their names and hangouts if you'd like.
That'd be most appreciative. I'd like to arrange a meeting if possible.
He will
Do it
proceed.
here. We have a VIP lounge. Very lovely.
We do.
It's only occasionally set on fire.
Actually, the VIP lounge, I don't think, has been set on fire, has it? Or
No.
have you been setting things on fire?
I feel drawn to point out they firebombed the front of the building, so it basically just hit some pedestrians that hit the front of the building. It was a single Molotov cocktail, so it was not exactly like the building burned down.
No,
but
VIP lounge does have a tendency to end up with guns drawn. So
That's
fire
fair.
is not that far off.
Gravedigger will scratch down. He'll take out a pen and paper and he'll scratch down the names of the various disparates in the city that he knows and like where they hang out, etc. And he'll hand it off to Neville. There you go.
He'll nod and say, "Thank you. I'm going to go try and see if I can find them. Have a good evening, gentlemen."
We wish you luck in that case.
Oh, do you have proper lodging?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a number or anything where we can reach you?
I'll get in contact with you.
Very good.
You will go ahead and walk on.
Gravedigger sits there.
I very nearly set him on fire.
No, you very nearly tried, and he very nearly had to stop you.
I prefer my version. It makes my ego feel better.
Yeah, but then your version also involves you potentially killing our founder.
I doubt
Actually-
I'd be able to kill him.
Tiger, with 5 successes to know about this guy when I rolled them, would I be able to know what his specialty sphere is or what he's really good at?
You would know that he's a master of both correspondence and life,
Ooh,
but he dabbles in like every sphere.
yeah.
That's all good masters up to.
But Gravedigger kind of sips his wine and smokes some of his cigarette before he stubs it out, and he says, "Right. Oh, I think that actually the best, how to phrase, the best action that we can take at the moment is inaction.
So what? Have a quiet dinner party, a la the Carry On films. Carry on up your Hong Kong.
Probably.
So we'll have dinner while the cannons fly through.
Yes, pretty much. In the end,
Sounds fair, I suppose.
in the end, you have to understand, we will survive this. We mightn't be heroes, we mightn't be glorious, but we'll live.
Yeah, that's sort of the idea, isn't it?
Yeah. Though, Gravedigger,
Yeah.
do we have any property that aren't clubs? Like anything that isn't publicly known?
No.
I've been wanting to get on that.
Yeah, I'm
I know.
thinking we might want to make a backup somewhere. Just a heavily warded place off the beaten track, maybe down a back alley or something.
Yeah.
And if shit hits the fan, we flee there.
What's it called? Spiders. Yeah, again, the whole time he was kind of lounging. I don't know if I didn't state that, but he's been sort of lounging in one of our lounging chair or couches. And he sits up and leans forward. He goes, "Have I ever told you about coffin hotels?" Got a big smile.
Often
across his face.
hotels.
Coffin hotels.
Oh, you mean the capsule hotels?
Yeah.
Like the things they have in Japan, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've read about them, seen a few videos.
Well, what do you think?
Interesting. Are you suggesting we like piss off to Japan and stay
No.
at the capsule hotel?
No, we open one here out by the airport. We can have it make money, and on top of that, maybe we can put some particular warding on some of the capsules.
So if shit hits the fan, we run to our respective capsules, hide inside, and wait out the bombs.
We can do that, or we can have capsules that we can put people in, and it makes it utterly painful and torturous to sit in.
Also an option.
Yeah,
He's not wrong.
with enough power over the mind, you can make somebody feel like time is going on much slower. So you put someone for 10 minutes, and they feel like they've been in there for 10,000 years.
This is very true. Also, with the right precise control of forces, I've seen people who've had their nerves burn away.
No, not
Really not
actual,
fun to watch.
not actual damage. You could just make it, seem that way.
So a purely mental pain effect.
Yeah.
Doable, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's totally doable, and that way it doesn't damage the person. So you just keep them in there indefinitely.
Yeah, we would have to put like a sound ward on the inside to
No, that's not that
prevent
hard.
screams being heard outside.
Sound ward isn't even anything. Just soundproof it.
Being realistic, I think it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It just requires some capital.
Yes. Which is where we turn to you, Old Bean.
You want to rob a bank?
I kind of do want to rob a bank.
I mean, we could do it. I mean, honestly, that would be a good, example of our own skills. Like if three mages, and I would like to say we're getting at least more and more powerful as the days go by. If we can't rob a bank, I think we should just jump at the wall and end it.
That is true. If collectively we can't get into a bank in, I'd say maybe a month or two, we'd have to prepare.
And then before we leave, we scream at the people, "Remember, we're not vampires." And then run out the front door.
Yeah.
Right.
We need to build some techno gizmos to put on your forearms. So when you make fire, it just looks like flamethrowers.
In theory,
No,
I could just
realistic,
walk in with.
If we rob a bank, being realistic for a start, we have to pick the right bank.
Oh,
Yes.
of course.
I'm thinking one that services more gold bullion, etc., than just plain cash. So probably the city's central bank.
Do you realize how hard gold is to shift these days?
It just didn't matter.
I was going to say, I can make gold look like, I don't know, a tea kettle, right?
Ooh.
I
ooh.
don't mean in that sense. I mean shift in the sense of launder.
No, it's actually not that bad. Gold is much easier to do than liquid assets.
I was going to say, once again, you are well aware of the fact that with enough gold, we can make it look like American pieces. Those things that the American mints still produce.
Yeah, you can turn into or Cougarins.
There we go. Problem is,
The ones from
it's
South
much
Africa.
harder to launder cash than it is to launder hard assets. Either that, or we're thinking too big and we just go and rob a bunch of jewelry stores.
Mm. Hmm.
On an out of character note, hey Tiger, we're totally planning a heist. This is going to be a thing.
Oh boy, I'll start playing Payday again.
What could possibly go wrong? Ooh,
Can we
yeah!
have fancy masks? Tiger, can we do that?
They must be themed. Gravediggers, for example, must look like a skull.
Well, duh. Mine's gonna be a spider.
And
Or we'll all be skulls. I don't know.
Yes. I shall have to figure out a fire theme.
A flaming skull. It's easy.
That's true.
Because I've now got the kind of perfect idea to how to rob a bank with our relevant spheres. So pyro kills the power in the building with forces, basically siphons off the electricity or causes a surge.
Surge is probably better.
Yep. Then whatchamacallit, then myself and Caleb just go in. Caleb speeds up time, so we're working incredibly quickly, and I bring us in through a portal through the Umbra.
With mind, can you intimidate people?
With
Yes,
mind, I can. Yeah.
Two effect.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I do in fact have mine too. So.
With mind,
Oh.
I've got mind 3. So I think with mind 3, because it says you can create illusions. Tiger, with mind 3, can you do the obfuscate thing of you just don't notice me?
Yes, you can.
No. Okay, you can do that, yes. But more what you do with mind 3 is make everybody's every single person's witness report is different. Make everybody see different things, and so when they have to describe it, even better,
that's incredibly vulgar and would bite me in the ass like a motherfucker.
what about
Yeah.
making us look like somebody else, like say 3 vampires?
Well, the issue there is I can make people physically perceive us differently because that's a physical illusion, which I can do. I can make people think they see different things. But the problem therein lies that, as I say, once again, that's really vulgar. Whereas if you obfuscate and people just don't notice you, then it's fine because they're not actually perceiving something to disbelieve.
I don't know, because if they don't know that they're being vulgared on,
There is an option here that we haven't considered. Tiger, with what level of mind would be required to basically knock out the people in the bank? Make them just pass out for as long as we're there.
it would be life, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be a life effect. Life.
In that case, well, presumably.
It says in how do you do that? At level 3, you can suggest that they sleep and they start to feel sleepy. At level 4, because you can just control them, you can just go and you fall on. Your brain shuts off. You fall unconscious.
That's fair.
Okay.
The life with doing it, you wouldn't necessarily get a resistance build, but the mind effect, they would get their willpower and stuff to resist.
Yeah.
I see. I'm just saying we go in, be terrifying, have point guns at people, to everyone. The classic "get the fuck on the ground. I don't want to see no heroes." And then
I'm picturing more. I'm picturing more in terms of we do the movie thing. We walk in, long dark coats, the masks, gloves, looking like supervillains.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Gravedigger just waves his hands, falls asleep, and just for the sake of avoiding paradox, we rig up some gas pumps outside so that they pump in gas, so that anyone looking on canvas, for example, will see that like a few seconds before this hand wavy shit happened,
I'm
gas was being pulled in.
I'm inclined to think that in the event we want to do that, in the event we want to actually rob a bank, it's better to do it very subtly, very kind of, rather than doing any big and flashy things, that we do it so we get the job done. Nobody sees anything.
Next point of fact. We've been on air talking about this. I think we should stop being on air about talking about what we're gonna do.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe we should, but I think that would be the scene anyway.
All right. Shall I?
We describe possibilities for funding.
Yes.
Yeah, we shall end it here and perhaps do another scene later where we actually plot the scheme.
Okay. In that case, thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Have a pleasant day as always.